Hey, what's up guys, Ravenclaw here and welcome back to the Ravenclaw channel. It's been a hectic couple of weeks guys, with the coronavirus and work and everything like that, so yeah, I'll talk about all of that over on Facebook, so if you're interested, come on over and have a look. But anyway, so today we're doing part 2 and we're going to look at your Azurite traits and your essences for both AoE and single target. Let's do it. Okay, before we go any further, I just want to note something down is, if I sound a bit off, I'm still sick, so just wanted to point that one out. Alright, so let's get into some Azurite traits. I'm just going to go through these and sort of explain to you why we should take these a little bit more in depth as opposed to just sort of pointing them out and saying go for it. The main two to look for here in the first and second slots are Primal Instincts and Dance of Death. Primal Instincts, so when you use your Aspect of the Wild, it will increase your mastery by a certain amount and also give you a charge of barb shots. So when you're opening your rotation, you do 2 barb shots, then your Aspect of the Wild give you another one. So that way you've got 3 stacks going straight off the bat, and then you can you've got the engine running, you can start really pounding out some DPS. You want to have one of these, just one of these on any piece of gear. This is, even if you have to sacrifice Dance of Death in the same ring, go for Primal Instincts, and that way you've got this agility buff. Sorry, mastery buff. The next one being Dance of Death. You want to try and get 3 of these just by baseline, okay? Because what it does, it gives you an agility buff every time you use Barb Shot, okay? And it will give you a buff equal to, Barb Shot has a chance equal to your critical strike chance to grant you a certain amount of agility for 8 seconds. Now, having 3 of these, that is a great increase because you are going to be using Barb Shot quite a lot. So these two together, Primal Instincts and Dance of Death, are the ones to go for just baseline. Now there are gear out there that will allow you to have 3 of each if you want to run 3. Now there's other ones that I like to go for as well, and they are, say, Rapid Reload for AoE. Rapid Reload is when you use multi-shot, it'll send out another wave of bullets, arrows, whatever you want to call it. But not only that, reduces the cooldown of your aspects by 1 second. This, especially if you're doing some really crazy ag cleaves in Mythic Pluses and stuff, you're going to be using multi-shot a lot, and having that cooldown come off quicker for your Aspect of the Wild is going to benefit you in the long run. So that way you can have possibly 2, maybe 3 rounds of Aspect of the Wild to really carve down the ads, depending on the pool and depending on what you're doing. Other ones to talk about, Haze of Rage, okay? So if you're going for 3 Dance of Death and like 1 Primal Instinct, the other one you can use in the same tier is Haze of Rage, which increases your agility when you use Bestial Wrath, and Feeding Frenzy. So Barb Shot deals an additional damage over its duration, and Frenzy's duration is increased to 9 seconds. So why is this good? Because it allows you then to have a little bit more time to maintain your frenzy stacks. And once again, so frenzy stacks are important because that's increasing the damage that your pets do based on the speed that they attack. So if you have 3 stacks, that's 90% speed increase for your pets. So these ones here in the first 2 tiers are the ones that I sort of choose. I'm trying to aim for, say, 3 Dance of Death and 3 Primal Instincts. I've only got, I think at the moment on my gear, is only 2 Primal Instincts. And the reason for that is I'll explain when we go into the essences and how it works together. Another one you can go for actually is Heart of Darkness. Your secondary stats are all increased by 72 while your corruption level is 25 or higher. That's just another little sort of damage boost, something to go for if you haven't got anything else in that tier that is going to benefit you. But yeah, so those ones in the first 2 tiers are the sort of go-to that I sort of try and stick with depending on what I'm doing, mostly for Mythic Pluses and sort of more hard single target raid bosses and things like that. Okay, so ring 3, we want to go for Overwhelming Power. This is it's simply a buff that stacks up 25 times, granting you 29 haste for every time it goes up. So this is absolutely crucial for a BM hunter. Now, why that is because the more haste we have, the quicker our GCD comes off or comes around. And also, it increases our focus regen. So the more focus we have coming in, the more abilities we can get out, therefore the more damage we're going to do overall. So yeah, I always try and go for overwhelming power on all my gear. The next video we're going to focus on gear, and I'm going to go through every single piece that is going to benefit you in which way and where to get it and all that stuff. That's sort of a video for itself, and what pieces can give you all three of these if you so choose. A couple of other ones, like for example, Unstable Flames, chance to grant you 81 critical strike rating for 5 seconds, and it stacks up to 5 times. That's also good if you're low on crit. Okay, if you're low on crit, take Unstable Flames to help you balance that crit out. And that way, like I've already mentioned before, critical strike, getting the barb shots, wild call procs, being able to get into your Bestial Wrath more, but also increasing your damage as well. And also even Gut Ripper too. Gut Ripper has the ability to chance to deal physical damage to the target, but it also increases its strength when the target is below 30% health. This is just another sort of DPS increase if you wanted to go for that. But those are sort of just what I wanted to mention in case you have a piece of gear that doesn't have overwhelming power. And the last one, situation. Whatever you'd like to do, they're more survivability ones. But I love to go for duck and cover. Duck and cover because I like to have the shield or the absorb when I want it, instead of having it like, you know, resounding protection, where it will sort of proc on its own. When you use Feign Death, so if you stack 3 of these, that's quite a good shield, and especially if you're doing higher keys and you don't want to put so much pressure on your healer. As a BM hunter, we can survive pretty well with like a Spirit Beast. So when you use Feign Death, not only are you going to drop aggro, but you're going to give yourself a nice little shield. But yeah, these ones are pretty much up to you. Take them as you see fit, or whatever you've got on your gear. But yeah, duck and cover is the one I wanted to mention myself. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for traits. There's nothing too more. If I've missed anything, or you want to sort of explain something a little bit further, talk to me in the comments down below, and we'll have a discussion. Or head over to the Discord and we can have a chat there too. All right, now let's move on. Alright guys, now let's look at some essences. I want to go over these based on what's going to benefit you the most. So we'll talk about the sort of top 3 or 4. Okay, so the single target ones that are going to benefit you the most would be something like your World Vein Resonance. This is the one that drops your 4 shards of Azurite around you and increasing your primary stat by 300% for 18 seconds. More of your on-call burst Azurite, I guess. You also then passively drop these Azurite shards around you as you go too. So this one is great, but it's also horrible at the same time. Meaning that if you're on a boss in a raid where you can just not move, amazing, perfect, go for it. However, if you need to move, it's kind of useless. So just bear that in mind. So what I mean by that is when you drop it, you have to be within the vicinity to be able to get the benefit from it. The next one is Vision of Perfection. This is both multi-target and single target. However, this is more beneficial if you have 3 stacks of Primal Instinct. And what this does, it has a 35% chance to proc your Aspect of the Wild. And along with that is the Primal Instinct proc as well. I know it may sound like a small amount or a small chance, but it does proc quite a lot, and I've had a fair bit of success with Visions of Perfection. Now the other one is Blood of the Enemy. This one requires you to be close to the target in order for you to use the ability to give them the debuff or buff, however you want to see it. Great for Mythic Pluses, for your AoE cleave, it's amazing. The other thing is if you're doing single target, you have to actually get right to the target for it to actual hit, and then for you to get the 25% crit buff overall. So just sort of work around with that and see if it works for your playstyle. Now another one you can take for Mythic Pluses or your strong AoE is Focusing Iris. That's the massive beam that comes out and just blows the targets away. However, I found these to be quite similar, Blood of the Enemy and Focusing Iris, depending on your playstyle. Now let's have a look at some of the passives. Okay, so some of the passive ones you can go for is, once again, Vision of Perfection. It will reduce the cooldown of your Aspect of the Wild by 25%. which is great. That's both for single target and AoE, because if you're doing rapid reload, that's a less time you have to wait for your aspect of the wild to come off cooldown. Other ones like conflict and strife. Your spells and abilities have a chance to increase your versatility for a certain amount, stacking up to 8 times. So this is actually great, because then if you get affected by any movement impairing effects, you actually get a stack as well. So that's another sort of attachment to your overall damage, both of which are great for raiding, so single target and AoE. The Breath of the Dying. Your spells and abilities have a chance to strike your target with fire damage and heal you for 50% of the damage dealt, which is perfect for survivability and a little bit of extra DPS at the same time. And you've got, even like the Focusing Iris, your damaging spells and abilities grant you a certain amount of haste, stacking up to 10 times. This haste is lost if you stop using spells or abilities, but once again, you get that haste proc, again with your other abilities, your other trinkets, and your passive gains of your haste. So yeah, these are the ones that I sort of work with. There are others out there that some people are using, but the ones that I wanted to show you are the main ones that I've simmed, have seen others use and do very well with, and discussions with other hunters. But yeah, if you've got anything that you'd like to add to this, please let us know down below in the comments. And instead of just saying like, you know, take this one instead of this one, give us a reason why and how it's worked for you. And that's the best way I want these to run. Any other questions or anything else that you may have, please come over to the Facebook page or the Discord, and I would love to have a chat with you guys there. But as always, you amazing hunters, you stay safe out there in the world and you keep on sniping. Take care.